Oh, hey everyone, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Oral Reports. Now before I begin, let's talk about a movie that I blogged during Valentine's Day of 2015, Gnomeo and Juliet. Now, to be honest, I still think Gnomeo and Juliet is a good movie, despite a few flaws like, well, old puns. But the reason why I do love this movie is due to the animation looking very creative. It had a fun and romantic story, a few humorous moments, a lot of lovable and memorable characters like Benny, Shroom, and Featherstone, and wonderful hits by the great Elton John. You may also remember that during my blog, I did mention that there will be a sequel coming up soon. Well, folks, that's what we're going to look at today. Released on March 23rd, 2018, the movie is Sherlock Gnomes. Now let's get this case cracking. After a string of garden gnome disappearances in London, Gnomeo and Juliet look to legendary detective Sherlock Gnomes to solve the case of their missing friends and family. So, what did I personally think of this movie? Well, to be honest, I enjoyed it. I mean, sure, it's not better than the original, but it's a bit better than how the trailer portrayed it. But anyway, let's move on to Mustang notes. In March 2012, it was reported that Sherlock Gnomes was in development at Rocket Pictures. Andy Riley and Kevin Cecil, two of the 9 writers of the first film, came on board to write the script for the sequel. Steve Hamilton Shaw and David Furnish came on board to produce the movie. The story would feature Sherlock Gnomes, the greatest ornamental detective, hired by the characters from the first film, who will try to solve the mystery of disappearing gnomes. In September 2012, it was reported that John Stevenson, one of the directors of Kung Fu Panda, had been set to direct the movie. However, unlike the first film, which was released by Disney under the Touchstone Pictures banner, Paramount Animation and MGM produced the sequel. Kelly Asbury, the director of the first film, was involved with the sequel as a creative consultant. And now, here's where we come to the animation. And in my opinion, the animation is equally as good as the first movie. Not just with the gnome characters, but also with the setting in London, which brings back wonderful memories of my visit there back in summer 2010. I also like the many different places that our heroes go to, like Chinatown, the Tower of London, which was my first stop on my first day there, the London Museum, the Doll Museum, and the Tower Bridge. Plus, there's clever black and white hand-drawn animation used for Sherlock's imagination. Also, not only are there gnome characters in this movie, but there are also toys, gargoyle statues, even Chinese cat figurines. I also like that there's a Hound of the Baskervilles reference in this movie. Also, I'd hate to be a spoiler, but in my opinion, the villain Moriarty's plan to destroy the gnomes of London using the Tower Bridge is very devious. And the character is so devilish that he makes the mascot of Polly's Pies look more tolerable. Anyway, while I'm glad that some of the puns from the trailer were not shown in the movie, there are a few jokes that are still a tad mature. And, like in the first film, This mankini gnome contributes nothing to this movie, period. I mean, no character who references Borat should be allowed in a family film. What's also disappointing is that Featherstone the Plastic Flamingo is absent in this movie. Gee. Plus, there are a few changes in this. For example, when the bunnies move their ears, there are red subtitles which translate them. Benny's hat has been repaired in this movie after it was chopped by Tybalt in the first film. And for some reason, Nanette has moved her relationship to Benny instead of Paris. Now here's where we come to the music and songs. And like the first film, Elton John composed the music for this movie. There are songs like Crocodile Rock, Don't Go Breaking My Heart, Benny and the Jets, Rocket Man, Saturday Night's Alright for Fighting, which were reused from the first film. One of the new songs featured in this movie, I think, is Philadelphia Freedom. But my favorite song in this movie is Stronger, performed by Irene. I mean, gee, this song is pretty much your average tough girl / breakup song, and it feels like a Broadway song with the dolls joining Irene like a chorus / dance team. Anyway, let's move on to the characters and their voice actors now. Gnomeo and Juliet are once again voiced by James McAvoy and Emily Blunt. Now, in this story, with their parents retiring, they are chosen to be the new leaders of the Purple Garden, since their colors mix together to make purple. No surprise. Anyway, in my eyes, they're pretty much like most husband and wife characters who usually bicker at each other. Also, Juliet seems more focused with improving the garden, while Gnomeo wants time to be with his wife. But still, Gnomeo and Juliet make a great husband and wife team. Many characters from the first film have returned here, like Michael Caine as Juliet's father, Lord Redbrick, Maggie Smith as Gnomeo's mom, Lady Blueberry, Ashley Jensen as Nanette, Matt Lucas as Benny, Stephen Merchant as Paris, and Ozzy Osbourne as Fawn. Next, we come to our title character, Sherlock Gnomes, voiced by Johnny Depp. Best known from the original Nightmare on Elm Street, the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, several Tim Burton films, and of course, the Fantastic Beasts franchise. This character is a gnome version of Sherlock Holmes, the famous detective in literature. In my opinion, Johnny Depp does a pretty good job voicing Sherlock, though he doesn't hold a candle to Basil Rathbone, the actor who made Sherlock Holmes famous. As for what I think of the character, well, he is smart, crafty, and very stealthy while solving his cases, but at the same time, he is a tad despicable and rude with how he treats Dr. Watson as well as Gnomeo and Juliet. Next we have Sherlock's friend, Dr. Gnome Watson, voiced by Chiwetel Ejiofor. who got to be in Doctor Strange 2012, and he'll be playing Scar in the upcoming live-action remake of The Lion King. This character is a gnome version of Dr. John Watson. In my opinion, I think Watson is a better character than Sherlock because I think the way he uses his cane like a grappling hook is pretty cool. And I also think that Watson is a great supporting character. Another character to talk about is Sherlock's girlfriend, Irene, voiced by Mary J. Blige, whom I remember from Rock of Ages. Irene is a plastic doll counterpart of Irene Adler, and in my opinion, Irene is a tough character, and I like the part where she and Juliet have a little chat during tea. And like I said earlier, you can't help but tell how over the top she is when performing her song number. Other members of the cast include Jamie Demetriou, Julie Walters, Richard Wilson, Julio Bonet, and Dan Starkey. And now, let's move on to my final words. Overall, Sherlock Gnomes is not a great sequel to Gnomeo and Juliet, but it was still very entertaining. The songs by Elton John are fantastic, the animation is clever, the setting in London is nostalgic, Gnomeo and Juliet, despite a few flaws with their relation, are a great team. Sherlock Gnomes may be a bit dislikable with how he behaves, but he's still very crafty. Also, this movie does give a good moral to not overshadow your friends or your partners. Now, I cannot recommend this movie for everybody, but if you liked Gnomeo and Juliet like I do, then check this movie out if you want, but really lower your expectations. As for my rating, I give this movie a 73% out of 100. It's not bad, it's not really great either, more like somewhere in between. Well, that's it for today, everyone. Be sure to join me next time, where we look at the Bard and Bella's final movie, Mustang Power.